Right now is a truly amazing time to be alive. People everywhere are waking up and discovering a pure presence, crystal clear clarity, the void, everything, nothing, the place from which all authentic action arises. It's the answer to all of our aeons of searching, of looking, of yearning, of efforting, of struggling. Every question we have, everything we're trying to achieve, every goal and aspiration is completed within this experience of pure presence. And more people are slowly but surely discovering that. Yet there's still much confusion as to what enlightenment really means. What is this enlightened state of which we're speaking? Why does it so quickly disappear? Why can't we align with it in everyday life, in every moment? What is going on to take that state away? True enlightenment is to integrate the inner experience, the inner purpose, with the outer one seamlessly. So we're coming from this space of openness, and yet we're flowing through life, through our experiences, through our interactions with people, our day-to-day occupation, pleasure, joy. The key is maintaining that state through all of it. Why is it that that doesn't happen? As soon as we drop into this place of pure presence, then action happens. There's an arising of energy, and that energy is the soul. It's a flow of unity consciousness, and for each of us, it has a unique harmonic, a unique vibration. Its inherent purpose is to help us experience that enlightened state, the oneness, everything, nothing, the absolute, the seer. It's to help us experience that in day-to-day existence. It creates relativity. It's an awareness, the soul is an awareness that creates this and that, you and me, up and down, left and right. And it's in that relativity that we get to know ourselves as pure presence through everything. We get a taster of that which is practically beyond taste. And it seems to be the soul's purpose to seek out all of those situations where we contract, where we get tight and identified, where enlightenment disappears, so we can explore the pain of that contraction and let go and open out into it. In which case, the constriction dissolves, and now the soul is no longer hindered as it flows through that place. So we don't lose the sense and experience and feeling of non-identification when that situation arises again. So it's not denying what wants to come up. If you're having thoughts, feelings, emotions, it's not trying to squash those or dissolve them, but going into them, exploring them. And if there's a tightening down because there's something that we identify with, something we resist, don't like, would like to get rid of, and a concern about that, an undue compression and tightness, then there's an invitation to explore that. Not just to ditch it, get rid of it, but to embrace it, honor it, feel it, and unleash ourselves through it. It's kind of like the soul is like a stream of gold, but where nuggets have become buried in the sediment at the base of the stream. It's like the soul, the flow of the soul gets us into the bed of the stream and stirs up the sediment so we can reclaim those nuggets. But we have to go into the sediment, we have to go into the density and stir it up before we can retrieve that nugget and rejoin the flow of the soul. So to attain a permanently enlightened state, full enlightenment, is then to learn how to attune to the soul, that voice within, and to follow it until we drop into it and become it. The soul is non-being coming into being. And so we as the small I, as this identity, must keep dropping, softening and opening and dropping into that flow and aligning ourselves with it until we become the flow. And then we discover ourselves as this presence flowing as the soul. And what happens is you have these places of lucidity where you experience that fully, and then they disappear, they close down. But the more we're watching, the more we're observing, and the more we're aligning with the flow and exploring and opening into the contractions, the more those periods of lucidity join up and expand until suddenly we're there all the time. I remember my first taste of an enlightened state was around a car crash. And during that car crash, I felt all identity just fall away, and my consciousness, my soul expanding into multiple realms of reality. Incredible visions and a deep sense of knowing about what was really taking place in the bigger picture. And after that crash, I went back to my day-to-day life, and in many ways I could maintain a blissful state, or this state, by dissolving what was going on in my outer life. It was like, yeah, everything was okay, I could accept anything goes. But there came this point where I realized I was really denying the true essence of me, that didn't really serve who I was. So I discovered just to let the impulse of the soul flow through the moment, to let myself express from that place of presence. And as I did that, I noticed how that flow of energy would take me into all those situations which caused me to contract down again, to lose that state. And I'd have to work within that energy then and let go of, those attachments and those distorted behaviors which were causing me to contract down. And so I'd work with that and find myself suddenly expanding outwards again and touch this enlightened state once more. So the journey was all about opening and expanding, but then contracting down again, letting go, working with it, dissolving the energy, and then opening again. Contracting, opening, contracting, opening, until the period of time in which I felt I was in this state expanded and expanded and expanded, until during one quite earth-shattering event for me out in the desert, which we've talked about in our film 5 Gateways, I could feel the last essences of karma being released. And then my life had come this kind of full circle, and I just knew that I was in this state of pure presence and that it wasn't going to go away. I just knew I'd become fully enlightened, and this was the permanent state of enlightenment. In the workshops that we do, quite often people will ask, what is it like in day-to-day circumstances? Okay, so we can access this expanded state, but how does that experienced in day-to-day life? And here's the interesting paradox, because I know that most, if not all, people are probably touching that state every now and again in day-to-day life, but don't know it. They don't embrace it for any length of time. And to me, in day-to-day life, it's like there is no one in here anymore. There is no identity, there is no person, there is just the sense of presence that pervades everything. There isn't even a center anymore. There is, just crystal clear clarity, and out of that, action happens. And there's a watching of the action. If there's any kind of contraction, there's an opening into that, and expanding through it, and an aligning with authentic beingness, what wants to come through. It just happens. It's like the Big Bang. And of course, that's what's going on inside of us. It's really the Big Bang. It's like there was nothing, and suddenly this explosion of light, and you and I are one wave on that outward flow. So enlightenment is like having, there's no control, there are no brakes, there is just expression and alignment with that. Human beingness is about discovering how to be permanently in that state and expressing from that state. That to me is what enlightenment is.